Hello, this is Robert Pye, student in the Public Management POL 510 course with Professor Michael Goodman. And this is a presentation on organizational leadership at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center. A little background. In the early 90s, a group of hospitals merged to create partners, and it was made up of Mass General, Brigham and Women's, and some other smaller hospitals. And they used this merger to increase influence with insurers and other payers. They acquired smaller hospitals as feeders, and also they had a focus on merging administrative operations. In response to this, the board of Beth Israel decided they too needed to merge with other hospitals in order to compete in the market with partners. And they combined with Deaconess, which was down the street, Mount Auburn, and some other smaller hospitals and community hospitals. But they focused less on administrative and more on clinical integration. They didn't do a great job of negotiating contracts with insurers, and they started to lose volume of patients and almost immediately began to see losses of $50 million a year at the Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center. And as we learned in the Rainey text, public organizations become distinct by the nature of their birth, and this was certainly true of Care Group and the BID. In 1998, Paul Levy joined Harvard Medical School as executive dean. In this role, Harvard Medical School was affiliated with the BID, so he learned of a plan to turn around the hospital, and he noticed that after a few months nothing happened. In 1999, he learns of another turnaround plan, and this one, after seeing the details of which, he decides this is not going to work either. And he notices, as a result of these two failed turnarounds, he notices that the BID has a remarkable inability to make decisions. In early 2000s, the hospital has 45 board members, a dysfunctional structure. The CEO of the BID and Care Group is the same person. This dysfunctional structure eventually leads to the board removing the CEO and appointing an interim CEO who forms a steering committee, of which Levy is a member of, to set the hospital in a different direction and to profitability. The steering committee hires a Hunter Group to do another assessment and plan of the hospital. And while serving on the committee, Levy is approached by a search committee whose job it is to find a new CEO to see if he's interested in the job. Meyer says public organizations may be quite change resistant, yet they do in fact change a great deal, including undergoing the ultimate change of going out of existence. So a lot of public organizations or their employees may be resistant to change, but it's unavoidable. And when they don't pay attention to it, they could face the ultimate change. The search committee meets with Levy in the end of 2011, December, to discuss the job, and he's anxious to know their decision. And he gives them 3 conditions to him taking the job, should they offer it to him. The first is that he wants the board out of the day-to-day business of the hospital. He wants to shrink the board down from the current unwieldy number of 45 board members. And he also wants to start right away. He wants to start in January because he's familiar working on the steering committee. He's familiar with the Hunter report. He's seen earlier drafts, and he wants to use that report as a launching point for his recovery plan, and also to use some of the results of that report in his recovery plan. In the early months of his becoming CEO, he has 3 eureka moments. The first is when he learns almost on his first day, that the Attorney General had been in talks with Care Group to sell the hospital to a private hospital. And this is because the Attorney General of Massachusetts has oversight of charities and nonprofits and is responsible to protect their assets. And Levy, who's friends with the AG, meets with him, talks him out of selling it, and but then turns around and uses the threat of the sale to his advantage. He uses the threat to get everyone's attention. He puts it out in the media, makes it public, and lets people know in the hospital, and it allows it kind of, it gets their attention, and it also puts him on a footing to take some drastic measures to set the hospital on the right track. Early in his tenure, he's asked by the press if he intends to lay off nurses, and he, not having not consulted the board yet, had not thought about it, but thinking on his feet, realizes that he can't continue the reputation of a warm and caring environment if he lays off nurses. They are the foundation of that reputation, and so he commits to not laying off nurses. Also, in that first month, he gets the Hunter report. He posts it on the internet, and he solicits comments from the staff, the doctors, and the nurses. This demonstrates transparency. It avoids leaks and rumors, and creates a forum for not only collecting comments, but also for it creates the ability for him to have the employees feel ownership, that their ideas are being considered in the recovery plan. He hits the ground running in his first month. He commits to developing the recovery plan in 1 month. He fires 150 in January. The plan is approved by the board. It's posted on the internet like the Hunter report. And in addition to soliciting comments, he asks employees to check a box and identify whether they endorse the plan. Some of the highlights of the plan are a focus on patient satisfaction, a new dedication to biomedical research, rental of unused office space, commitment to set and report regularly on monthly milestones, reinstating a liver transplantation unit and the future adding of other units. It also identifies previous problems and why this recovery plan will be different. And his philosophy about the plan is you can't shrink to prosperity, you have to grow. So in other words, you can't just cut your way to being profitable. There has to be some growth in order to generate more money. The 7 characteristics of innovative managers in Levy, according to R.M. Linden, are strategic action, and we saw Levy in December when he said he wanted to start right way in January, was a strategic plan of his. Holding and letting go, he shrunk the board and lets go the CEO and others. Creating a felt need for change. He uses the threat of the sale to get everyone's focus, and particularly the doctors. He gets their attention by letting them know they would no longer be affiliated with Harvard, and in which case they would no longer be Harvard professors. He starts right away with some concrete changes with layoffs and the openness of posting the Hunter and the recovery plan. Some of the structural changes he makes are setting up steering committees in his kitchen cabinet, which we'll talk about. Dealing with risk, he's not afraid to take risks, and he encourages risk-taking in the employees. And using his political skills, dealing with the AG, convincing him not to sell, and as we'll see later, informing the President's Council. Now, the department chiefs are not clinical or medical, they are scientific. And in that way, they're not trained in management. They see themselves more as deans. In meetings, the chiefs don't speak up in dissent, and they wait until after the meeting to send angry emails. They have to learn to be managers. And Levy helps them do this by holding them accountable for things like reporting to the board. And his hope is that by holding them accountable, that they will hold their employees accountable. Poyster says transformation efforts are all emphasize developing a shared vision and mission, strategic planning, and developing the organization's leadership and culture. So in developing the leadership, he is also developing the culture. Some of the restructuring that goes on, Levy implements 5 task forces or steering committees, and they are big enough to have critical mass, but not unwieldy. They represent key departments, but not all, depending upon the group. They have the expertise needed, depending upon the goal of the task force. And he also keeps the CFO and CEO off the teams against their objections, because he wants them to let their people be exposed to the group process and to making decisions. He also forms a kitchen cabinet of major department heads, and this small group provides a smaller setting for the chiefs to meet and to share their comments in a smaller setting. Levy has a hand in creating the Hospital President's Council, made up of all the hospitals in the care group organizations. And it comes out of a feeling of resentment and distrust. The care group has been making potentially destructive decisions, including one example was the selling of the Waltham Hospital against the wishes of the Waltham board. They already feel a little resentment because of the way the organization is structured. They're responsible for some of the bids. They're responsible for an equal share of the bid's debt. They feel uneasy with the lack of direction. There is no CEO of Care Group at the current time. And Levy, acknowledging all this, steps into the vacuum and begins to reach out to other presidents. They form a council, and he converts their animosity to collaboration, and they begin to work together. Some of the constituencies that Levy must manage in order to be successful are both internal and external. There's the bid board, who he works for, care group board, who the hospitals report to, the attorney general, who has a responsibility over nonprofits, other care group hospitals. He works with them to form the president's council, the media, who he uses to get information out and important messages, the staff physicians and nurses who deliver the service that the hospital brings to the community. Referring physicians, an important feeder of patients to the hospital. The Jewish community, which historically built the Beth Israel Hospital, providing patients and providing funding, and he wants to cultivate that relationship. The public, he wants to make sure they know that the hospital is the caring, warm atmosphere that it has always been, and that a place where they want to go for delivering babies and other things. The insurers, he needs to negotiate with the insurers a fair, competitive reimbursement fees for services, and the business community by cultivating a place that the employees of businesses want to go. Then the businesses will make sure that this hospital is included in their health plan so that they can offer them to their employees. 3 key memos that go out to share Levy's vision and to communicate to the team are one is capacity planning. This is a situation where the beds were getting filled and they were having to shift people around because of the extra capacity they had in the ER and other places. And this was a good problem to have because more capacity means more patients were coming in. But in order to address this, then they needed to sit down and plan how they were going to do it. So he communicates to the team that he acknowledges the problem. He lets them know it's a good problem because it means they're doing things better. They're increasing volume. They have a plan to fix it, and they appreciate the efforts of the frontline staff to deal with this while they quickly implement a plan to expand their capacity and get more beds. Nursing, he wants to let them know that he wants to continue to focus on compassionate care, and that he will hold some town hall forums with the nurses and form task forces. The research strategy, this memo was to let this part of the organization know that they are serious about research, they're going to focus on it, they're going to hire a consultant, and they're also going to recruit prestigious scientists from around the country to be a part of a visiting committee to help them with their research plan moving forward. By the end of July, in Levy's first year, financial results are better than budgeted. He's had 2 profitable months in the last 5. There's been 5 cash flow positive months, a first time ever since the merger, and chiefs are taking charge of their departments. Some of the manager dues that I take from this case study are the importance of focusing on the fundamentals and building on them, setting and tracking measurable milestones, being transparent to build trust, soliciting feedback to gain a feeling of ownership, soliciting dissenting opinions so that you're not surprised or you don't overlook a potential risk. Using steering committees with small enough to be manageable, with a clear mission and a manager and measurable milestones. Holding people accountable, this goes for managers and then trickling down to their employees, holding them accountable, acknowledging their successes, and holding them accountable when they make a mistake. Managing constituencies, there are, in addition to the internal nurses and doctors and administrative staff, there's a host of constituencies in the community that have an impact on the hospital, and encourage an atmosphere of risk-taking and not in the risk-taking in that Levy says that he prefers that people ask for forgiveness rather than permission. So rather than being afraid to speak up, go out and take a risk, and he will support you if that risk fails, because he recognizes that an entrepreneurial attitude can only serve the success of the hospital. What's leaders, and what E.H. Shine says in our reading from this week, what leaders consistently pay attention to, reward, control, and react to emotionally communicates most clearly what their own priorities, goals, and assumptions are. And even Levy says that if you're going to have a vision, for an organization to have a vision, the leader must share that vision and must live that vision, or else it's not a good fit. Some of the don'ts, don't get lost chasing the money, and what I mean by that was in one of their plans, the bid was proposing going into new business and releasing a successful part of the business that they were well known for, which makes no sense. Don't make teams that are too large to function, that can't make decisions, that can't get things done. Avoid convoluted organizational structures. Without a chain of command, you can't hold people accountable, and you're not going to accomplish things if there's no accountability. Don't withhold information. Be open and transparent, and it will build trust in the organization. Don't stay inside your organization. There are many constituencies that may not be obvious that you need to attend to for the success of the organization. And don't squelch creativity. If everybody is silent and doesn't share their thoughts and their creativity, then as an organization, you're going to miss out on some opportunities. So that's my take on the Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center organizational leadership, and thank you very much.